Have you ever wondered why some people turn failure into fuel while others freeze when life throws them a curveball? What if everything you thought about talent and success was just the beginning of your real story? The truth is, your biggest career breakthrough could be hiding inside your next challenge. Today, you'll discover how to transform setbacks like unemployment, rejection, or self-doubt into stepping stones for an unstoppable career. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to unlock a growth mindset and turn life's toughest moments into your greatest opportunities. It's fascinating to pause and consider how simply the way we think about our own abilities can shape the entire trajectory of our lives. Carol S. Dweck's groundbreaking work on mindset invites us to look beneath the surface of hard work and talent, and to examine the deeper story we tell ourselves about what's possible. The idea seems simple at first glance, yet its implications ripple through every layer of personal and professional growth. Have you ever found yourself assuming you're just not a math person? Or that creativity is something you either have or you don't? This is where Dweck's concept steps in, challenging those messages we've absorbed often without questions childhood. When Dweck introduces the distinction between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, she isn't just tossing out another self-help catchphrase. The fixed mindset, as she explains, is the belief that intelligence and talent are static qualities set at birth, for better or worse. It's a perspective that many of us carry, sometimes subtly, sometimes in ways that shape our biggest life choices. If we buy into this outlook, setbacks can feel terrifying because they seem to expose a permanent inadequacy, not just a momentary mistake. This creates a kind of invisible boundary, limiting not only what we attempt, but also how we respond when things don't go as planned. What's so transformative about the growth mindset is that it reimagines ability as flexible, open to development. With this perspective, Dweck suggests effort isn't a consolation prize for those lacking talent. It's how potential is cultivated and brought to life. Talent and intelligence become living things, shaped and strengthened by curiosity and resilience. For anyone who's ever felt boxed in by the limits of their perceived abilities, this is a truly liberating idea. It opens the door to seeing challenges, not as threats, but as opportunities to expand and evolve. Think about the subtle difference between "I can do this" and "I can do this yet." The word "yet" adds a world of possibility, gentle reminder that we all works in progress. It encourages perseverance, patience, and a sense of agency that can carry us through rough patches. Dweck has shown through years of research that embracing a growth mindset changes not just how we learn, but whether we're willing to try, fail, and try again. It's about building a relationship with challenge that's rooted in hope, rather than fear or resignation. This shift in perspective often starts small. Maybe it's a teacher reframing mistakes as part of the journey, or a parent encouraging curiosity over perfection. Over time, these moments accumulate, nudging us toward a more compassionate view of ourselves and others. The growth mindset isn't about pretending that everyone's abilities are identical, but about recognizing that potential is far less fixed than we might have believed. Step by step, it becomes easier to appreciate the messy, non-linear nature of growth. So as we set out to explore this concept more deeply, it's worth keeping in mind how powerful our beliefs can be, not just in shaping our self-image, but in determining the roads we're willing to travel. The journey from a fixed to a growth mindset is rarely a single leap. It's a series of quiet, persistent choices to see ourselves and our challenges through a more generous lens. And as the conversation unfolds, we'll see how these ideas have the potential to change not only individual lives, but the very culture of learning itself. As we journey further into the realm of mindset, it's impossible not to notice just how relevant these ideas become during life's most turbulent moments. Uncertainty in our careers, especially something as jarring as unemployment, can feel like an unwelcome guest that overstays its visit, bringing anxiety, doubt, and an almost physical weight. But here again, a growth mindset quietly offers us an alternative perspective, gently nudging us to look for possibility where we're accustomed to seeing only loss. This isn't about glossing over the real pain of professional setbacks, but about allowing ourselves to reframe what those setbacks actually mean. Consider for a moment the all-too-common narrative that unemployment equals failure. That internal voice catalogs lost status, missed opportunities, and the worry of falling behind. It can be exhausting, even paralyzing. But through the lens of a growth mindset, the story begins to shift just a little. Instead of interpreting a layoff or a missed promotion as proof of inadequacy, there's an opening to see these crossroads as spaces for learning and self-discovery. The period between jobs, though uncomfortable, they quietly contain the seeds of a new direction if we're willing to dig beneath the surface. It's in these stretches of professional uncertainty that learning can take on a profoundly personal dimension. With the external structure of a job temporarily removed, there's a chance to tune inward. What did we enjoy most about our previous work? What skills did we lean on, and which ones could use some tending? Sometimes unemployment becomes an unexpected classroom, a place to re-examine not just our resume, but our deeper aspirations. Rather than racing to fill the space with any opportunity that presents itself, the growth-minded approach prompts intentional reflection. Reflection, though, is only the first layer. A true growth mindset nudges us toward action, even while we're still figuring things out. Maybe it's exploring an online course in a field that's always sparked curiosity, or reaching out to reconnect with an old colleague whose insight could open new doors. These steps, however small, reinforce the idea that our professional narrative is always in progress, never simply finished or fixed by one setback. The anxiety of not knowing what comes next doesn't disappear, but it becomes intertwined with a quiet confidence that growth is always possible. There's a delicate balancing act in redefining what periods of unemployment mean to us. On one hand, there's the practical reality: bills, responsibilities, the frayed edges of self-doubt. On the other hand, a growth mindset offers a gentle reminder that our worth isn't measured solely by titles or paychecks. Every detour, every pause is part of a much larger process, sometimes uncomfortable, often necessary, always filled with the possibility of learning something new about ourselves and our place in the world. And as we carry these insights forward, the connection to our earlier ideas becomes even more clear. Just as I can't do this, yet reframes failure and struggle as temporary, so too does viewing unemployment as a space for reflection and reinvention transform a daunting experience into an opportunity. The value of a growth mindset isn't in erasing life's difficulties, but in reshaping how we move through them, reminding us again and again that potential is not a finish line, but the essence of our ongoing journey. This is where the theory of a growth mindset begins to touch down into daily practice, no longer just an abstract shift in perspective, but a series of deliberate, empowering choices. In the midst of professional transition, the most constructive response often revolves around continuous learning. There's an undeniable comfort and energy that comes from taking action, from focusing on what we can change, especially when so much seems to be in flux. Suddenly, the landscape of online courses and certifications feels less like an overwhelming menu and more like a toolkit teach, offering a tangible step toward adaptation and growth. It's important, I think, to approach this learning not as a frantic attempt to keep up, but as a genuine investment in self-expansion. Choosing to pick up a new technical skill or even to refine softer interpersonal qualities isn't just about buffing up a resume. It's about honoring your own curiosity and resilience. Whether it's finally tackling that coding boot camp, diving into a leadership workshop, or brushing up on emotional intelligence, each endeavor becomes a quiet declaration: I am still growing, no matter what my situation looks like from the outside. Workshops and trainings become more than just opportunities to gather certificates. They are moments to stretch beyond our comfort zones. The act of showing up, especially when motivation might be in short supply, helps reinforce the identity of a lifelong learner. It's in these spaces, virtual or in person, that we encounter new ways of thinking, fresh perspectives, and sometimes entirely new career avenues. Even small technical upgrades or behavioral tweaks, practiced consistently, contribute to a sense of forward momentum that can make all the difference during uncertain times. Alongside personal learning, there's a profound value in nurturing our professional networks. This isn't about transactional relationships or cold self-promotion. It's about opening doors to community, support, and new collaboration. Reaching out, joining groups or online forums, and sharing knowledge with others all feed into a cycle of generosity and exchange. Sometimes the most meaningful opportunities come from unexpected conversations. From simply asking questions or offering insight to someone else, navigating this same uncertainty. Being an active participant in professional communities often begins with small, intentional acts. Maybe it's commenting thoughtfully on a peer's project update, attending a virtual meetup, or volunteering skills for a cause you believe in. Each interaction, no matter how brief, feeds a sense of belonging, reminding us that growth thrives in connection, not isolation. These exchanges help us stay current, spark new ideas, and often strengthen a sense of purpose that goes beyond our personal ambitions. As we keep tracing the thread from the mindset shift to these daily practices, each piece reinforces the last. Where self-reflection opens the door, learning and community walk us through it. Every new skill acquired, every relationship strengthened, builds not just our professional profiles, but our flexibility and courage in the face of change. In this, the growth mindset transforms from a belief into a living, breathing reality, one defined as much by our small, steadfast steps as by the grander arcs of reinvention. As we follow the arc of personal and professional development, it becomes clear that technical skills and networking, while powerful, are only part of the equation. The real engine driving growth, especially during uncertain times, is emotional resilience. There's something quietly profound about how we respond emotionally to job loss, new beginnings, or even the simple uncertainty of a career crossroads. While it might seem easier to focus outward in resumes, applications, and LinkedIn connections, the most transformative changes often begin with how we navigate our own emotional landscape. Take, for example, the act of managing our emotions in the face of adversity. It's not about shutting down fear or denying disappointment. Rather, it's about acknowledging those feelings and giving ourselves room to process them. Practicing a positive mindset can sometimes sound like a hollow platitude when life stings. But in reality, it's about finding a kindle of hope amid uncertainty. It might be as subtle as choosing to focus on what's within our control for the day, reaching out for help, finishing a small project, or simply taking a moment for gratitude. Each conscious act, however minor, helps to anchor us in the present, making the mountain of uncertainty a little more climbable. Self-reflection becomes an invaluable tool for navigating these emotional ups and downs. Setting aside a few quiet minutes to ask, how am I really feeling about all this, can provide the kind of insight that keeps us grounded. Patterns begin to emerge moments when motivation surges, or when anxiety weighs more heavily. Through this honest self-inquiry, we start to recognize the internal dialogues that shape our choices and our overall sense of possibility. Over time, these moments become touchstones, a way to check in, recalibrate, and continue forward with greater self-awareness. That's where emotional intelligence takes the stage. Emotional intelligence is more than just understanding our own emotions. It's about learning to navigate them constructively and empathetically. It's noticing when frustration is clouding our judgment, or when a spark of hope can be used to propel us forward. This quality shapes how we interact, how we react, and ultimately how we recover. It means being able to pause, breathe, and respond rather than react, an incredible asset in both professional and personal settings. Practices like journaling, meditation, or even just regular conversations with trusted friends can help cultivate these qualities. They allow us to observe ourselves with gentle curiosity rather than harsh judgment. The more comfortable we become with our internal experience, the less likely we are to be derailed by setbacks or overwhelmed by new challenges. This self-knowledge, built over time, forms a foundation that lets us absorb the unpredictable blows of life with a measure of calm and courage. With each layer of reflection and practice, we see how the growth mindset isn't merely an academic concept, but a lived experience. From technical skills to community, and now to the heart of how we handle our own emotions. Every step helps weave a fabric of resilience. This is the quiet strength that propels us through uncertainty, by eliminating challenge, but by meeting it with clarity, self-knowledge, and an ever-renewed sense of purpose. When we talk about reinvention, nothing illustrates the transformative power of a growth mindset. Quite like the stories of individuals who have taken seemingly unlikely beginnings and, through vision and persistence, sculpted new realities. These are not just tales of success, but testimonies to the human capacity to evolve beyond our assumed roles, industries, or skill sets. Each example reminds us that reinvention often begins with a spark, a question, a problem, or even a frustration that refuses to be ignored. Take Sarah Blakely, for instance. Before Spanx became a household name, she was a fax machine salesperson, navigating a career far from entrepreneurship. What's remarkable is how she zeroed in on a simple, universal problem: women's discomfort with traditional undergarments, and decided to do something about it. Without formal business training or outside investors, Blakely crafted her own product and pitched it relentlessly, turning a personal insight into an innovative brand that's now worth billions. Her story isn't just about creating a product. It's about daring to see possibility where others might see limitation, and then forging a path through sheer grit. Then there's Jeff Bezos, whose leap into entrepreneurship began by turning away from a very stable and prestigious role in finance. Recognizing the nascent potential of the internet, Bezos bet on e-commerce at a time when many were still skeptical. The idea to start an online bookstore was just the beginning. What followed was a relentless expansion into a behemoth that changed the way the world shops, reads, and even thinks about cloud services. His journey underscores the power of foresight mixed with a willingness to embrace risk, backed by a conviction that growth comes from persistent innovation. Satya Nadella's reinvention story has a slightly different texture. Transitioning within the vast and complex machinery of Microsoft, he moved from a technical executive role to the CEO's office. His leadership reshaped the company's culture, replacing rigidity with empathy, and rewrote its strategy to embrace cloud computing, a field that defined the future of technology. Nadella's journey is a vivid reminder that reinvention isn't just entrepreneurial. It can happen within established institutions through vision and a refreshed approach to leadership. What connects these stories beyond their surface differences is the mindset that fuels them. Each of these leaders stepped into ambiguity and uncertainty, relying on a growth-oriented view to push through doubts and obstacles. This mindset creates a fertile ground for creativity and resilience, where setbacks are seen not as dead ends, but as critical steps along a path of discovery. Their achievements weren't overnight miracles, but the result of continuing to learn, to iterate, and to believe in progress. Moreover, their examples illuminate the diverse forms reinvention can take, whether it's launching a new product, pivoting career paths, or transforming an entire organization. It reveals reinvention not as a destination, but as an ongoing conversation with ourselves and the world, sparked by discomfort but fueled by belief and action. These narratives invite us to reimagine what's possible in our own professional lives, no matter where we start or what obstacles we face. As we reflect on these powerful transformations, it's clear that the core of reinvention lies in asking the right questions, staying open to learning, and committing to growth. These stories resonate not just because of their scale or fame, but because they echo a journey that's accessible to all of us, a journey marked by courage, curiosity, and the refusal to settle for the status quo. In each new chapter of our careers, perhaps we can find a little of that same spirit, that same drive to create, to grow, and ultimately, to reinvent. Stepping into transformation means stepping into discomfort. It's an invitation to leave behind the familiar rhythms and safety nets that have cradled us for years, sometimes decades. That sensation of unease, the knot in your stomach, the turning thoughts is not just a side effect of change. It's often the very signal that growth is underway. Accepting this discomfort shifts it from something to resist into something to engage with, a mentor that teaches resilience and openness. Instead of running from mistakes or setbacks, a fundamental transformation invites us to see those moments as essential lessons, essential pieces in the ever-evolving puzzle of becoming. Curiosity becomes the compass that guides us through this sometimes murky terrain. Asking questions both of ourselves and the world around us opens possibilities that routine thinking might seal shut. Maintaining the posture of a lifelong learner means admitting there's always more to discover, more to understand, and more ways to grow. This isn't just about accumulating knowledge or technical skills. It's a mindset that celebrates wonder and inquiry, keeping our perspective fresh and dynamic amid constant flux. With curiosity at the core, transformation ceases to be a daunting obligation and instead becomes an exciting exploration. Continuous development is the next thread weaving through meaningful change. Investing in ourselves, whether through formal education, self-directed learning, or simply carving out time to read and reflect, builds a foundation that can support both ambition and adaptability. Staying updated is more than a professional necessity. It's a commitment to remain engaged in an ever-shifting landscape. When we nurture this habit, we create a momentum that makes facing challenges feel less like catching up and more like riding a wave. It's a rhythm that requires discipline, but rewards us with confidence and readiness. The principle of mental flexibility is like the glue holding the transformation together. Change rarely follows a straight, predictable path. Rapid adaptation becomes not just beneficial, but essential. Seeing shifts in circumstances as fertile ground for opportunity rather than threats allows us to approach obstacles with creativity and poise. This mental elasticity doesn't mean blindly embracing every change, but encourages a thoughtful openness, the ability to pivot and reorient with grace. It reshapes adversity into possibility, worry into strategic response. Taken together, these principles compose a powerful framework for transformation that resonates deeply in both personal and professional realms. Each principle supports the others. Discomfort invites curiosity. Curiosity fuels development, and development strengthens flexibility. They form an elegant cycle of growth that challenges us to continuously evolve without losing the core of who we are. At its heart, transformation becomes less about radical upheaval and more about steady, intentional expansion. What remains most inspiring is how accessible these principles are, regardless of background or circumstance. They serve as reminders that transformation is not reserved for a chosen few, but is a path open to anyone willing to embrace it. By welcoming discomfort, nurturing curiosity, committing to growth, and cultivating flexibility, we start to see change not as a disruption, but as the very essence of a meaningful life in motion. It's a mindset that promises not just survival, but the flourishing of our potential. Today, we explored how a growth mindset turns challenges into new beginnings, with real stories and powerful strategies you can use right now. If you believe your journey matters, send you Ready to Grow subscribe to From Books to Life and turn on the bell so you never miss a transformation. Tell me in the comments, what's one challenge you've turned into an opportunity? Or what mindset shift are you working on right now? Let's build a community that grows together. Keep rising, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.